Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio, presented by Brotherwell Brewing.
It's Gronkowski back again.
Here's Paul Catalina, Steve May, and Grayson Grundhaver.
Welcome into the Fantasy Football Show here on 365 Sports, Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Steve May, Grayson Grundhaver in our Austin Bureau. And of course, we are brought to you by our good friends at Brotherwell Brewing. I was just down there getting this fresh growler of the Fest beer.
I was there Saturday and got a big growler at it.
Yes. So I didn't want you to abscond with the rest of the beer, so I got a small growler of it both weeks because, you know, I just thought it would be fair that way. Even though Grayson doesn't get any of this because he's in Austin and not here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sad times, guys. That's such sad times. I'm watching y'all drink this beer, and it looks so good. And a mug, too. Oh.
Yeah. So, Steve, since you are the beer wench, you can pour the beer. There you go.
I'm pouring mine first.
I know. Just making sure you have my mug. All right, guys, a very interesting week around the NFL, and, of course, always an interesting week in fantasy football. I got to tell you, so I am – on Sunday night, I'm going to tell you in one league, I have Justin Herbert. And I'm down by just enough to where if Justin Herbert has a transformational game, that's the only way I can win.
Yeah.
In the first half, he throws 3 touchdown passes. And I thought, 2 more, buddy, and I got it. I got it. And then the second half happened. And they still won the game. But certainly, it was one of those nights where it was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I wish they would just spread it out. Just spread it out. Don't do one half. Do the whole thing. Because the worst thing, I think, when you're watching fantasy football and waiting for a guy to go off is if they do it early and you get, say you needed 20 points and you get 15 in the first half, that 5 isn't coming in the second half.
No.
It's just not going to happen. Yeah. And that happened to me on Monday night. I was like, oh, here he's so close to it. I thought going in, like, no chance. He throws 3 touchdown passes. I open the score, and I'm like, hey, look at this. What do you know? But interesting things happening around the NFL. Guys, how were your weeks last week in fantasy football?
Pretty good. In our league, I won. Held on to win there. In the other main league that I focus on, I was 0-3 going into that weekend, and opposite for me. So the going to Monday night, and I'm up by 30, and the guy I'm playing has Herbert. And in our scoring, Herbert ends up getting 28. So I end up winning by 2 to get my first win in there. So so that was good. Daily fantasy was a little rough again. Man, I don't know. I'm just I'm missing some calls here and there, and just can't get into a groove like I was last year.
Yeah, Grayson, how'd it go for you?
Yeah, not good. It was a really bad week for me. I ran into, in my main league, the Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill stack of 81 points. So that was fun to deal with. And then, just a couple misses. I had Mike Williams versus Keenan Allen, and I needed Mike Williams to win that battle, and both stunk, but Mike Williams stunk worse than Keenan Allen. So I lost there. And then, in daily fantasy, Jimmy G got hurt, and he was kind of the quarterback I was counting on, and he looked really solid, honestly, before he got hurt. I was thinking, okay, I have something going, but Jimmy G, and I took a shot on Brandon Ayuk, and it didn't work out for me. But the rest of my team was pretty good, so just a few misses here and there.
And just real quick, so last week, Grayson and I disagreed on Jalen Hurts and Tannehill. I didn't like either one of them. He liked both of them, and we split the difference because Hurts actually had a pretty good week, but Tannehill stunk.
Tannehill stunk because he has
there's no receivers.
Yeah, the 2 receivers they thought that he was going to have are both out at the same time. So he was going into. And the Jets won that game. Inexplicably, and believe me, I live in a house with a Titans fan. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great Sunday in the old Catalina household, especially when the Cowboys turned around at the same time and just dismantled the Panthers
Yeah,
in the second half. I'm going to say this, guys. In leagues that have defenses, the Cowboys may not be a bad defense to play because they're getting sacks and turnovers, and that's the only way you really get points anymore.
Yeah.
They get them. And I wouldn't have said that at the beginning of the year, and now Jalen Smith is gone, so they're not going to give up big chunk plays over the middle anymore. So
in the leagues that I set up this year and that I'm the commissioner of, I got rid of team defense. We've already talked about that.
Yeah.
But I still have some leagues where a defense is required. So in 3 of those leagues, the Cowboys were available. I'm never going to use a waiver position for a team defense, but once waivers process and then those it's a free agent, so it doesn't hurt against you. This morning, the Cowboys were available, and they're playing the Giants. But I do think even beyond this game, that the Cowboys' schedule the next 4 or 5 weeks is very favorable from a team defense point of view.
Yeah, and they get Dalton Schultz is probably a tight end that you probably want to add now. But
Jarwin got a touchdown as well.
Yeah, so. But you can probably not go wrong in a lot of matchups. If you're desperate, just put a Cowboys player in there because their offense is going to score. It's wild. Other big things that happened, David Montgomery's going to be out for a good chunk of time. Damian Williams means he steps up. Josh Jacobs is back, but that situation with the running backs in Las Vegas is – it's Josh Jacobs, but it's not – if he's healthy, even if he's healthy, they're going to use the other guys a lot. Right,
yeah. They like Kenyon Drake. Minnesota this week is going to be a question mark. Madison is probably still going to get Dalvin Cook is a little bit banged up, so Madison will probably be in the mix, maybe not as much. The Rams situation, Henderson will be back. So that's still kind of murky. Really, the big news, I think, today was that Justin Fields was named the starter for the Bears going forward. So Fields was quarterback 2 that I took in most of my leagues. I got somebody reliable like Stafford or Aaron Rodgers, and then got Justin Fields, knowing that he would be a starter at some point because the talent is there. It's just a matter if the play calling will work well with what he can do. I'm hoping that it does and that he catches fire and that he's maybe somebody I can use in a playoff run.
Yeah. Grayson, thoughts on some of the injuries this week and what we should look for on the waiver wire?
Yeah, another big news today. I think Christian McCaffrey practiced limited, but he was in pads, so very intrigued by that situation. Y'all mentioned the Bears situation. Montgomery out 4 to 5 weeks. Damian Williams went for $65 fab dollars in one of my leagues. So people spending up on him for sure. Wow. I came away with a pretty big trade this weekend. I traded Jamar Chase. I feel like with T. Higgins coming back, that I could kind of cash in right now. Jared Cook had a big performance on Monday night, so I was able to trade those 2 for Allen Robinson, who's been struggling, and TJ Hawkinson. So I was pretty happy with that deal right there. And Justin Fields, like you mentioned, I'm wondering how that affects Allen Robinson, who has really struggled this year. Darnell Mooney's been playing well, but I have to think that at some point their wide receiver 1 is going to get some targets and going to have a role in that offense. So we'll see on that. I think, there were a few other mentionable things like Michael Carter finally got his share of the carries, finally scored a touchdown this week against the Titans. So I'm wondering if the rookie takes over the backfield there. I'd definitely be interested in him on the waiver wire. And then, just waiting on a few other, injuries, whether it's Elijah Mitchell in San Francisco or whenever Jeff Wilson comes back, what's going to happen with that backfield? But it's all really kind of crazy right now. There's been a lot of injuries and a lot of just kind of weird sit and starts and weird trends, honestly, throughout the league.
Yeah. And, I had a lot riding on that Tampa Bay New England game the other night with, in a couple leagues with Tom Brady, with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin, and
yep.
And that didn't work out to be a boon, And then, look, the Packers beat the Steelers the other day, but, Devonta Adams and Aaron Jones weren't as much of a part of it as you would want them to be if you own those teams. So it's weird how that works out. And I think that's also going to happen when you have elite quarterbacks like Brady and Rodgers. sometimes when you even have a stack or whatever, you're like, man, this is exciting. I've got Mike Evans and Tom Brady. It just might not be that night where they're going to find a way to win the game and win ugly in that rain and all that they did. Or the Packers just do it a different way this week because the Steelers have committed to something else. And that was the roller coaster ride I was on this week at a 1-2 and just all I needed in the 2 leagues I lost was just not a great week. Just a normal week out of everybody. Yeah. Just a normal week and I win. Not that the other guy was, sometimes you play the other person, and it's like, well, there's no way. They had a trend like Grayson ran up against the Patrick Holmes, Tyreek Hill stack. You can't, what can you do? I mean, it's nothing you can do, but nobody had a transformational week where they have a new lease on life for fantasy football against me. It was just, I needed normal weeks and didn't get them. Yeah.
And right now, the only person you can really bank on every week right now seems to be Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Everything else is just, a crapshoot. And with that Kansas City stack, in DFS, I did have a Mahomes-Kelsey stack in 3 or 4 lineups, and that didn't work at all because Kelsey had one of his worst games in a long time. He doesn't have those very often, but it certainly killed me there because Tyreek Hill just hadn't done much, and it seemed like he poured it all into that one game. So, like we talked about last week, this year is even more harder to predict, and you just gotta look at your lineup and make your best choices. And I was listening to someone today. They're talking about the quarterback position, and the expert that was talking only drafts one quarterback every year. And he does that because he doesn't want to have to worry about that choice. So he drafts one. That's the one he's going to ride with in whatever league he's in. He doesn't add a second one because week to week, he doesn't want to have to make that decision. He wants to limit the number of decisions that he has to make to receivers and running backs and only worry about another quarterback when the bye week hits. It would be hard for me in a draft to only take one quarterback.
Which means you probably have to draft your quarterback earlier than most people because if you're only going to take one, you better make sure he's pretty damn good.
Right.
So, that's an interesting strategy. I don't know if I could do it.
I don't think I could. Another thing Grayson brought up that I don't think we've really touched on much is trades. So I don't know if trading, Grayson, is a common thing in the leagues you're in. In the leagues I'm in, trading is almost non-existent. They rarely happen, maybe 1 or 2, if that, a season, because I think, in the leagues that I've had for several years, nobody trusts each other. So they think if you're proposing to trade, you must know something, and there's a reason why you're doing it instead of just trying to make both your team better or vice versa. So trades hardly ever happen. You
know what's really hurt? Grace, I don't know if this probably hasn't happened for you yet, but since I started doing this show with you two clowns, no one trades with me. They will not. Like, I can offer them a trade exactly for that reason. They're like, well, what did your guys talk about when we weren't taping? That they're like, nothing. I just need a running back, and you have 7 of them.
Yeah.
I'm asking for your worst one.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do anything. But have you experienced that, Grayson?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the way I try to go about it now, because people know, a lot of my friends know that I do this fantasy football stuff with y'all, and just I'm really into fantasy football, and so they don't really want to do trades with me ever. And my close friends never will trade with me, but some of the other guys in the league, this week I just sent out, hey, are you interested in Jamar Chase? And then the guy sent me that trade offer. And it just happened to be good enough for me. And it was kind of what I wanted, so it worked out. But yeah, I mean, we do trades a lot. It's pretty close friends, but most times it's not just send the trade and then it happens. It's usually like talk, just kind of wear down whoever you're talking to until you finally get to a point where you can accept the trade or not accept it. But I will say, Steve, I think a big part of it is that my league that I mainly trade in is a keeper league or a dynasty league, which means you can trade future assets instead of just trading for that 1 year. You get so invested during redraft into the guys that you drafted, whereas in these other leagues, you're kind of able to, I'll trade you a future first because I'm 0-4 or whatnot.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
We'll take a break right here. When we come back, start 'em, sit 'em. Steve and Grayson give you their picks to start and sit, and I sit here and drink beer and look interested. That's what I do well. Thanks to Brotherwell Brewing right down on Bridge Street right from here. This is the Fest beer. Get it while it lasts.
It's awesome. It's really good.
It's they do a lot of really good stuff. This is my favorite thing that they've done.
Yeah.
It's absolutely my favorite thing they've done. And you can't do a Fest beer all year round. You can. But they don't. Most of the time they don't. They can. Most people don't because they don't. It'd be like eggnog all year. It's seasonal.
Yeah.
We're in October right now. I'm drinking Fest beer. That's what I'm going to do. This is the fantasy football show on 365 Sports and Sikkim 365 Radio. Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on 365 Sports, Sikkim 365 Radio. I'm going to look at the right camera this time, right here. That's the camera right there. Please like and subscribe to the NFL channel, or I promise there will be more Kardashian shows on television. That's what's going to happen. If you don't like and subscribe, it goes out in the ether, and we'll get more. We finally got rid of the one.
I am proud to say I have never watched any show with a Kardashian.
Well, you better keep not watching it, and because if this continues, people got to like and subscribe.
Does that make me sound like the get off my lawn old man?
A little bit. I'm sure Grayson's seen a couple, right, Grayson?
No, never. Yeah, I have. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've seen probably way too many episodes than I can count.
Yeah. I was on a podcast one time and somebody, or a radio show, and somebody asked me, like, randomly, they do the thing with a guest, like, who's your favorite Kardashian? And the only one I could think of was Kim, so I was trying to think of, like, the other names, and I was like, Freddie. And then, like, there's no Freddie. I was like, okay, well, give me the names and, like, describe them to me. Like there's the young one, and there's the, there's that, like, just tell me who they are. I know who they are now, but mostly because of that segment. But yeah, dude, you don't want it to happen. You don't want it to happen.
I used to love reality TV. Survivor, man, I was into that. I never missed an episode, probably for the first 10 seasons. Big Brother, same thing.
Well, my girlfriend is very into Big Brother. I just watched Big Brother for the first time. She got me into it. I like the challenge. You like the challenge?
Haven't watched.
Love it.
I've pretty much turned off all.
The challenge is great. And come to find out, a guy I used to do comedy with and went to college with is one of their producers. So,
wow,
doing a great job. And
Real World's awesome too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, Grayson goes way back there.
I remember vividly that first season of The Real World on MTV. Y'all are probably.
I remember it. Grayson doesn't. He probably wasn't alive.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't remember what year it debuted.
Yeah. All right.
Not important.
Yeah, not important. Not important. What is important is start them, sit them. Steve started last week. Grayson, you start this week.
Okay, let's start with the quarterbacks. Obviously, as we mention every single week, start the superstars, start those top 8 guys. If you have one of the really good guys like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, I think Personally, Jalen Hurts is starting to slide up into that mix a little bit. Start those guys, of course, but guys that are kind of lower on the radar that I think you could stream or are good options this week. Here are a few of those names. Matt Ryan, he takes on the New York Jets. The Jets are a pretty good defense, kind of sneaky a little bit. But I think the Falcons figured something out last week against the Washington football team. They're going to throw it a ton. I think it's going to be a pretty competitive game. So I think Matt Ryan should have a pretty good week. Also like Daniel Jones against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to put up a lot of points once again, and therefore I think Daniel Jones is going to run, throw, do a lot of different things, and eventually come out on the other side with a pretty good fantasy week. Also Sam Darnold versus the Eagles. That Eagles defense is horrific, and I think Sam Darnold's going to have another really good week as a fantasy quarterback. Now, as far as sits go, I think this is the week that Taylor Heineke comes back down to earth. The football team takes on the Saints. I think Heineke, he's been awesome, guys. He's really been good, but I think it's been kind of fluky. So I think he comes back down to earth. And then Baker Mayfield versus the Cleveland Browns. Do not play Baker this week. Very worried about kind of his outlook for the season, not throwing a lot of touchdowns. They've been in positive game scripts and running the football, and the Chargers defense is going to let you run it, but they've been pretty good against the pass this year.
Steve, who you got quarterbacks?
Let's see. Some that I like, some deeper cuts here. I do like Sam Darnold. I think he's legit this year with Joe Brady's offense. I think it's been a great fit for him, and so I think win or lose, he's going to put up numbers every week. I'm going to disagree with Grayson again. I like Taylor Heineke this week against New Orleans. I think he's got good weapons to throw to. I'm not sure what the tight end situation will be this week with Thomas probably out, I think. So I have to see there. But I like Heineke. And then I'm going to go out on a limb here. And if you're desperate, if you're streaming your quarterback, and that's another thing that some people do, that they will rotate their quarterback. If they in their draft, if they waited really late and took a quarterback, they may be rotating that position out each week. I actually like Zach Wilson against the Falcons. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets win that game against Atlanta because the Atlanta defense is so horrible.
Yeah.
So
Can we talk about before we get to running backs? We have to talk about something about Atlanta that's good news and bad news. It's really missed me. But yes, I agree with you, Steve, on Zach Wilson. That Atlanta defense is not good.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good for another year or so, at least. So,
and then the two I would avoid if you can. I don't like Justin Herbert against Cleveland. The Cleveland defense is amazing, and I don't like Tannehill again, even though they're playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a mess right now with their coaching situation, so who knows what's going to happen there. But again,
receivers are questionable.
Receivers are questionable. It's the Derrick Henry show there, so Tannehill. If you can avoid that, I would not play him.
All right, Steve, before we get into your running backs.
Okay.
Cordell Patterson is with Atlanta. And through the years, I have rostered him because he is a sneaky play in some weeks because you can see, like, all right, they're going to run him in and throw it. Like, especially when you have injuries. This year, he's been consistently somebody you should play in a flex spot.
Yep.
And this is the year I don't get him. Everyone else found him before me. Or I didn't have the waiver position, and I think I should have been like, had I done a keeper league from last year to this year, the one person I would have definitely kept, now knowing this, would have been Cordell Patterson. I'm so mad that he's doing well, and I don't get to reap the benefits this year of a week-to-week thing where, as before, he was a guy you'd have on your roster, and you'd be like, you know what, I'm going to play him this week because I'm in a bye week, and sure enough, he did well for me a couple times, but man, now he's doing good every week. Arthur Smith's figured out how to use him.
Yeah, he was a player that you could plug in there. A lot of times he was also the return guy for whatever team he was on, and so you could get points there, receiving and rushing. And he's creeping into the RB1 conversation. Mike Davis, who I drafted on several of my teams, he's not worthy of a start from week to week unless, we got bye weeks coming up in another week. This will be week 5. So week 6.
Yeah, this is the first London week. So after that.
So week 6, the bye weeks will start. So that may be the only time you can use Davis. So running backs for this week, I like Patterson. Mm-hmm. Again, they're playing the Jets. I think this could be another close game. I like Damian Harris with the Patriots. They're playing Houston. Houston is a dumpster fire, as we expected them to be. Buffalo put up 40 points on them. Both running backs for Buffalo did well. So I think Damian Harris is a good start. And then with Tampa, Leonard Fournette was on the field for almost every play Sunday night against New England. So Fournette is the guy there. Ronald Jones gets sprinkled in every once in a while, but they're playing Miami. So I think that's a good game for Fournette. Two guys I would avoid, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with Kansas City. Just don't know.
Had a great week last week.
Yeah, they're playing Buffalo, so I'm a little leery of that one. And then Latavius Murray has been named a starter in Baltimore, which really doesn't mean anything because Lamar Jackson is really the main running threat there. So Murray, only if you're desperate to plug somebody in there.
All right, Grayson, what do you got?
Yeah, so I like some of the names that Steve just mentioned, Leonard Fournette and Damian Harris specifically. I think they're both going to have very nice weeks. Love Darrell Henderson this week against the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's a name to keep an eye on. If you're looking for kind of a guy to try to add this week or maybe make a trade for, Darrell Henderson is a guy at the top of my list. He's got a great schedule the rest of the year, and I think he's going to be very productive. Another guy that I really like is Zach Moss against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's been on a roll a little bit. He's taken over that RB1 role in Buffalo. So I think he'll get a touchdown this week. My sits this week, I'm not playing any of the 49er running backs. I'm just staying away. It's just such a mess right now. So yeah, I'm staying away from all of their running backs. And then this one kind of pains me to say, but I kind of have to go with it, is I can't play Miles Sanders this week. He finished RB12 the first week. Since then, hasn't finished better than RB35. I think you just got to wait until you see them start to trust him more. But right now, there's just too much Kenny Gainwell and too much playing from behind. So Jalen Hurts is airing it out a lot more than I think Miles Sanders fans would like.
All right, Grayson, wide receivers.
Yeah, the wide receiver position this week, I'm going to go right back to the well on this one. Corey Davis for the New York Jets. He finished wide receiver 5 last week. He gets that Falcons defense this week. I think he's going to have a big week, another big week. He gets tons of targets. Jamison Crowder came back last week, took a little bit of the pressure off Corey, and he still looked great. So, I think he's going to have a big week. I really like Deebo Samuel again this week against the Cardinals. I think they're going to be playing from behind, throw the ball a lot. That adds up really well for Deebo Samuel this week. And then kind of a get-right week for a guy who has really underperformed, and that's Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley has that 100-yard 1 or 2 touchdown game against the Jets. I think he's going to play really well. As far as sits go, don't play Brandon Ayuk anymore. You just simply can't. You can't play him. I mean, you got to wait till you see it. So sitting him against Cardinals, even though it's actually a decent matchup, I'm seeing Cortland Sutton this week because I think, especially if there's no Teddy Bridgewater, I think that Denver offense is going to be terrible against Pittsburgh, especially on the road this weekend. So I'm staying away from that matchup. And then the other one is Odell Beckham Jr. against the Chargers. It kind of goes in line with me not really wanting to play Baker Mayfield. Don't want to play Odell Beckham Jr. in that matchup either.
All right, Steve, who you got?
Let's see, some receivers that I like. I do like Devonta Smith with the Eagles against Carolina. I think they could be playing from behind, as Grayson said. So Smith is a good play there. I like Jacoby Myers. I like the Patriots in that game in general against Houston. So Jacoby Myers, he hasn't scored a touchdown yet this season. I think he's close to 30 targets in the 4 games they've played. This is the week he scores a touchdown, I believe. And I like Henry Ruggs with Las Vegas against Chicago in that matchup. Receivers I'm going to avoid. I'm not a fan of Mike Williams this week. Again, going up against Cleveland. I think out of the 2 receivers, Keenan Allen might be the one to own to start this week. Amari Cooper is dealing with a hamstring with the Cowboys. He came in and out of the game last week. I think he sat out practice today. So while he would be a good start, I would be worried that you're going to start him and then he's going to come out too frequently. So if you have a better option, go that route. And then I'm jumping off the Robert Woods fan club.
Just It break your heart.
It's a tough day. So, I was so high on him in the drafts, and it just hasn't happened. For whatever reason, Stafford is not looking for him or connecting with him. And so until that happens, I'm not going to cut him just yet, but I'm definitely not going to start him as I have been every week up till now.
Look, when there's a bond like Kupp and Stafford, you just don't get in the way of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Kind of like Catalina and May.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Sorry, Grayson.
We didn't cheer the Red Sox victory
There we
last
go.
night.
That's right. This is a baseball thing.
Yes.
Look, the Red Sox may not win another game, but
They knocked out the Yankees.
But they knocked off the Yankees, which to a fan of the Red Sox is like cocaine. So, there you go.
Pretty close. I'm not speaking from experience, but
Yeah.
I would guess that's pretty close to the same.
Yeah, that's what it is. All right, when we come back, we do our showdown lineup plus DFS and what you should do. This is the Fantasy Football Show, brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing on 365 Sports and Sikkim 365 Radio. Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Brought to you by our good friends at Brotherwell Brewing. I'm going to take a sip of the Fest beer right now. That's tasty. After the show, Hayden's going to chug whatever's left in the growler.
There's a little bit there.
No.
Maybe a thimble full.
Yeah. It's not that much. It wasn't like a whole growler. We were going to make you do a keg stand, Hayden. But anyway, yeah. So he's good now. He was worried. It's dark. He can't tell from his angle across the producer's table what's going on over there. So Paul Catalina, Steve May, Grayson Grundhafer. All right, DFS, guys. Steve, you'll start with this one. Who do you like in daily fantasy this week?
All right. So based on my personal experience, whatever I say right now, do exactly the opposite, and you could win $1 million possibly, because that's how bad I've been. So, but let's see. Let's be positive here. So at the quarterback spot, if you're looking for a bargain, I already said I like Heineke with Washington. He's at 5,900 on one of the sites. So that's a good play there. And then I like Joe Burrow at 6,100 against Green Bay. He's been lighting it up pretty much every week, so I think that'd be a good play. And then Derek Carr is also 6,100. So, if you want to spend up on running back and receiver, like we say every week, those are the kind of bargains that you want to look for. So that's quarterback.
Okay.
Grayson's quarterback?
Grayson, quarterbacks?
Yeah, quarterback, I actually like two rookies this week. Trevor Lawrence at 5,800 and Trey Lance at 5,700. Lance just gives you such a great upside with his running ability. And Lawrence, the Tennessee defense is terrible. I mean, we saw Zach Wilson put up numbers against them. So I think Trevor should be able to score quite a bit in what should be a shootout. So I like both those quarterbacks as bargains this week.
Do we expect Lance, has he been named the starter for this week?
He is not. I don't know. I think Shanahan said he hasn't ruled out Jimmy G as of today, but I think he's going to start this week. It seems like Jimmy G's going to miss at least 1 week.
I agree with that, and I think if Lance does well, it's Lance the rest of the season.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yep. Let's see, running back. Some good bargains out there. James Robinson, I like. Again, going up against Tennessee. Robinson has been doing well the last couple weeks. He's at 6,000. Damian Harris comes in at only 5,500. That Harris is going to be all over my lineups this week, especially at that price. And then I mentioned earlier Fournette. Fournette's only 5,200. So again, I think you're going to. The guidelines are when you're looking at their price that you're paying, you want them to score. You want to anticipate about 3 times their price. So, Fournette is at, let's say he's at 5,000. You want him to get 15 points or more in that game, and then you're getting your value for what you paid for him. So, in that specific example, I think Fournette definitely can get you 15 or more points this week.
All right, Grayson, what do you got?
Yeah, gosh, I'm glad you mentioned Fournette and Harris. I mean, Steve, we're probably going to have the exact same lineup with those two. They're both going in my lineup. It's just such a bargain this week, and they're going to get a ton of touches. So I like both of them quite a bit in this matchup. I also really like I don't mind spending a little bit on Kareem Hunt this week against the Chargers. I think Cleveland's going to run the ball really well in that game. So Chubb and Hunt both should be very fantasy relevant this week. And Hunt's coming in at 5,800, and he seems like he's kind of – I don't know what it is about him and what they don't like about Chubb, but Hunt seems to be taking up a lot of goal line carries. He gets tons of PPR work. So Chubb has 20 carries for 110 yards, but you look at his final total and he has like 12 fantasy points. You're like, what's going on here? Kareem Hunt only gets 12 touches, but it doesn't matter because he gets more points on those touches.
And then real quick on receivers. CeeDee Lamb is coming in at only 6,200. I think
because he had an off week last week.
He had an off week
for him too.
I think this is a bounce back week for him, especially if Cooper ends up going in and out of the lineup. So CeeDee Lamb at 6,200. Corey Davis is only 5,600. Again, my guess is the Jets are, if they don't win, it's going to be really close. So I think Davis is a good play. And then for DFS, I actually like Antonio Brown. He's also coming in at 5,200. Tampa against Miami. I think that could be a good matchup because the Xavier Howard for the Dolphins will probably be on Godwin or Evans, so that should free up Antonio Brown to get some points there.
Grayson, who you got?
Yeah, so Steve mentioned Jacoby Myers a little bit earlier, and not only does Jacoby Myers not have a touchdown this year, Jacoby Myers does not have a single touchdown his entire career. And an interesting fact about him, he is the second highest targeted wide receiver in the history. So of however many targets he's gotten his entire career, he's second to not have a touchdown with that many targets. So it's pretty baffling how he just has not been able to find the end zone. But I like him this week. He gets tons of targets. Yep. He's going to be a great option against Houston this week. I like Laviska Shenault, and this is an injury type thing. DJ Shark is out. Laviska Shenault's 4,800. Yeah, definitely going to take the discount price there, as he and Marvin Jones should both be very fantasy relevant going forward. And then also kind of similar injury situation, Jalen Waddle, 4,800 against Tampa Bay. Miami's going to have to throw the ball all over the place. They probably won't have Will Fuller this week. I think he's going on IR. So fire up Jalen Waddle and maybe Devontae Parker too.
All right, let's get to it. The main event, what everybody waits for with bated breath every single week.
I guess we didn't win any money last week.
We did not.
Okay.
It was bad. It's bad, guys. I like talking about it. It's like that scene in Apocalypse Now where or
I can't remember what was the Thursday night game.
Cincinnati and Jacksonville.
That's right.
Yeah, wasn't good. It was a good game, but it was hard to peg what was going on. All right.
So we got Rams and Seahawks. Which is a really good game for DFS. There's a lot of good names here, a lot of possibilities. You go first. You haven't gone first.
You want me to go first? You want me to pick the captain?
Yes.
I was really hoping you would make me do that because this is maybe a more expensive week than everything else. Just like Cooper Kupp would be $18,000 if we took him right now, or $50,000 if we made him the captain.
Yeah.
And that might pay off in the fact that he's going to get 11 catches or something like that. But then the rest of our lineup is not going to be very good. So I'm going to go with, at $8,400 for our captain, Tyler Higbee.
Okay.
Tyler Higbee.
I like it.
All right. Tyler Higbee is our captain. Steve, you're next.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and pick a quarterback here. Now, which one do we want? So Seattle's defense has not been. Who's more expensive, Wilson or Stafford?
Russ by $400.
Then I'll go Stafford.
Okay. Stafford is our second pick. Grayson, two picks.
All right. Oh, man. So Chris Carson did not practice today.
And he is questionable with a neck injury, yes.
Right.
And it's a Thursday game.
Yeah, so if you're going to be really diligent on it and be able to flip this guy out, I would really like to take Alex Collins here.
That's good. I agree with that one.
But only if he doesn't play.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we'll take Alex Collins here.
Even if he does play, Collins has some value. How much is he?
3,200.
3,200.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. We have an average of $9,000 left per player with this lineup. So we're good here.
Yeah, and then I'm taking the other running back for sure in this matchup. I'm taking Darrell Henderson. Yeah, I think he's going to have a big week.
At $8,400. So at $9,300 per player.
Oh.
Steve, back to you.
All right. We need a receiver. So how much is Robert Woods?
Robert Woods
After
is
just crapped on him.
$7,600.
Okay.
Tyler Lockett is 96. DK is at 10.2. And Cooper Kupp is 12.4.
Dang.
And Russ is 11.8.
Oh, yeah, if we wanted to do. Okay. So how much total do we have left on that? Like
18,600.
Okay. I'm going to go Robert Woods. That way you have plenty of money to play with here.
Yes. Wow. Then I'm going to take DK Metcalf.
Okay.
So we have $800. We have $800 to spare. So
okay. So if we took out Woods, take Woods out, what does that give us?
I mean, the same thing.
Yeah.
We couldn't get anybody.
No.
Okay.
No. The same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seattle's tight end is it Disley?
Or Everett, but he's going through COVID protocol.
Yeah. So now let's leave Woods in there.
Okay. All right, guys.
I feel good.
Higbee.
I do too.
Stafford, Collins, Henderson, Woods, and Metcalf. That's our lineup. $800 to spare. Entered for the grand total of $1.
All right.
There we go. We dumped all our winnings down the Bengals and Jaguars last week. So we'll let you guys know how we do next week. Again, thanks to Brotherwell Brewing and Steve.
Yes.
Cheers on another successful show. Grayson, sorry you can't be here drinking this delicious fest beer with us. But until next week, have a great fantasy weekend and like and subscribe. Or I'll send Hayden to your house just to sit there and stare at you. You don't want that. He's got nothing but time and lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
Lots of questions. This is the fantasy I screw this up every time. This is the Fantasy Football Show on 365 Sports, Sick of 365 Radio.